And there it goes. Speaking of liftoff, the old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's glowing in the dark, 27085. Your frequency of choice, channel 11. If you are one of those glow-in-the-dark radio-type people, or perhaps you are an SWL, a shortwave listener, we welcome you tonight. Sounds like I'm getting some feedback on the audio, so let me check to see if I have. Yes, I do. I have a switch that shouldn't be on. Let's turn that off. All right, and things will be better in the universe. Good evening tonight. Thanks for listening. This is the first week of our new 8-week roster, in which requires me, before I can officially get started here, to pick from the bowl of SWLs with perfect attendance to find who might be our new 00. Thanks to SWL 56, Phil, who's, I think, actually in the running to do this again. For the last 8 weeks, a reminder that we here at the old Tube Radio Network like those glow-in-the-dark radios, the classic radios from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s that made up the Class D 11-meter citizen radio service. Many of our tube radio operators are out there tonight, and they will share our collections with you when we get to the radio check-ins in about 35 minutes. But first, the direct net roll call of the shortwave listeners. I'm going to procure an item out of the box here from those with perfect attendance for the last 8 weeks, and it says we should be calling for SW. Hey, this guy knows how to do it. SWL 195. I wonder if you're out there, Jim. Over.
Jerry Bellhouse, right here. Check it in.
Well, that would be Jim from Course Gold, SWL 195. So make sure that he gets the check in. And the 00 will check in SWL 1. Hello to those on the video side, including Mr. OBP, where all stations are 9 pounds, good modulation, Chestnut and Herndon. I'm checking the screen. Sunspot numbers 0, 16 days for no sunspots. And hello, Kevin. I think things will be changing, but you might notice the lack of sunspots if you've tried to do much DX on the higher frequencies. We'll see what happens. We're not hearing the mini-grass. We know that the sunspots have to be pretty low. Over to SWL3. I will get Rob checked in with the proxy check-in. And next in the square for SWL2. Over to SWL4. SWL5, Ida Mama Rose earlier in the week, saying hello to all the stations. SWL6, shortwave listener 7.
SWL number 7, checking in.
By the radio tonight. Very good. I wasn't sure if we would have you on air or if you would have a decent receive without all the noise, but at least you're hearing me.
Yeah, patch of noise, but I am hearing you.
Okay, not a requirement to be on the old Tube Radio Network, but I guess it would help if I'm playing the part of net controller tonight. And we have a whole bunch of SWLs listening in at oldtuberadio.net, which is a good way to do it if you can't hear us at 27085 somewhere in the Central Valley of California. Let me get my headphones set up here. Who is out there listening tonight? We have stations in New York. We'll be coming to you. Hello, Maryland. Lots of California stations. Washington, Utah, Colorado, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio, and a host of others, including the unknown SWL, of which we have a few. Who's on the video side? Smarty out of New York, one of our New York stations. Hello, Ray, and others yet to be seen. So thanks for tuning in. We're the direct net roll call up to SWL 11 and 12. Checked in via email over to SWL 13. Keep an eye out for Mike. He often checks in via the Facebook link, which you can do. You can check in on the main page at oldtuberadio.net. I think you need a Facebook account to do that. SWL 14. SWL 15. SWL 16. SWL 17. SWL 18. SWL 19. SWL 20.
Sierra number 20 here. Please check in number 29, number 54, and number 135. Now, 54 may also try and check in. He says up there in Madeira you have trouble hearing him, but he's going to try and check in. If you don't hear him, I'm the proxy.
Okay, we'll give it a try. He's usually got a pretty decent station, and I can often hear him well. And we'll put that to the test as the audio receive is up on the audio stream. So we'll have everyone vote from 1 to 10. Do you hear him or do you not? Okay, Harvey, I've got you checked in. The radio sounds good. We'll no doubt talk about it a little bit later on when we start checking in the radios here in about 30 minutes. Thanks for checking in, and I will get the proxies. A station who is no stranger to radios that glow in the dark and those that don't, SWL 21. DD21, Mr. JT, who is out waving a hand, requesting a check-in from the Wasama Swamps. It has been raining a whole lot here in the Central Valley. We don't quite have the slushiness of those who frequent the Wasama Swamps out in South Carolina. But we're getting close. We're getting close, JT. We're giving... When you're number 2, you try harder. You're sounding good tonight on the digital side, if that's possible. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 22. SWL 23. SWL 24.
24, checking in.
Got you checked in, Joseph. SWL 24, first week of our 8-week roster. Looking good. SWL 25. Over to page 2, SWL 27. And I think that's what FT8 is for. Hello, Dwayne, checking in on the FM radio. I forgot to make sure it was up, but it was. You came through loud and clear from the radio over on the shelf. We've got you checked in, and FT8, Dwayne, did I say Wayne? Dwayne reminds us that when there are no sunspot numbers, try that great in the noise digital mode, FT8, which Dwayne does quite nicely. Thanks for checking in. AB6GFD. We got lots of people on the crossband tonight. Over on the FM Simplex frequency, 27 is checked in. We're heading to 29, who has a proxy check in. And I've got the fireplaces. I've got the window open just a little bit to blow some breeze through the tubes here. And it is cold for us tonight in the Central Valley. I can smell the fireplaces up and running. That'll take us over to SWL 31. Robert and Teresa. And I did see that you were not on the unknown SWL list tonight. Let me just double check. Yeah, right in the center of the auditorium tonight, SWL 31. Hope all is well. I guess I should check the big board. See if there have been. And you know what I have to do? I have to actually refresh the comment button, and there's everybody. that I was missing. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL32. SWL33, myself, Bozo Control. Everybody here in the studio tonight, Jingle Singers, Mr. Announcer. Everybody will sound good. We get you checked in. Then we go to SWL35. Mr. Bill. Red Monkey. Look for the Red Monkey Communications Mobile Extravaganza in a location near you. Probably somewhere near Cheyenne, Wyoming. It might be a little bit on the cold side. I don't see Mr. Bill waving a hand just yet, but I know he will probably be out there. Over to SWL 36. Let me bring the over if it's to the Orban loudness meter. So check your loudness as you check in. Let me call SWL 36 again. All right, I was hearing a carrier with no audio. There's a carrier with no audio, so check that out if that's you, Roy. It could be somebody else. We'll be here for a while, and we'll make sure we will get you checked in. How about it? Now, here's a station that always has audio, SWL 37. When he's at the microphonium, that is. Thought I heard him out there a little bit earlier. We'll be listening for Chris, SWL 38. I think my radio's working. SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40, checking in.
Checking in and checked in. Larry, do you have Echolink?
I do not have Echolink.
Okay, I was going to try and see if I could fire that up tonight, but I'm not convinced that my system is working properly. I didn't see my name show up on the call list, even though I was able to make some contacts. So anybody has Echolink out there, let me know. We'll test that out, maybe. Just add another wrench into the works here. You are sounding good, sir, and we've got you checked in. Hope all is well in Chinatown.
All is cold and well, 43 degrees.
Yeah, it's going to get down. You're going to have some low snow levels, I do believe, after a warm rain at the beginning of the week and rain most of the week, off and on. Over to SWL 41. SWL 42.
We need to proxy Jerry in and the rest of the gang.
Okay, I will get 42, and there was somebody on the crossband. Let me check that out. Who was checking in? KB6GFD, not full quieting here.
Your antenna is very low, Dennis.
Oh, let me, I may have my power down. Hold on.
Barely hear you on 2 meters.
Oh, you know what? I do have a problem with my antenna. Yeah, I do have a problem with my antenna tonight, and I'm not sure I can correct that. I may have to, I will need probably some relays on the crossband. We had the really high winds, and my mount is less than stellar on the 2 meter, and I took it basically way down. So looks like Larry's going to help me out with some relays on the crossband. Thanks, Larry. Directing that roll call, Old Tube Radio Network, we will be talking with the Tube radios here in just a moment after the roll call. And let's see, I did hear you, Dennis. We have 42 checked in and the rest of the gang on that item. SWL 43. SWL 44, I know Ray is out there. And if you're listening, Larry, what I did is my antenna is basically horizontal. whatever that means. But it's not where it should be on the FM side, but it is way more horizontal than vertical. So that's probably creating some issues, no doubt. And Ray says he likes my new testing tool. I'm not even sure what that was or is. Obviously, I need to do some better testing when it comes to making sure all the radios are running. Got you checked in, Ray.
And I'm out here, too.
Okay. My signal must have bounced the wrong way around the Earth. Hello, Roy. Hello, Chris.
Ouch. Hello, Dennis.
I was looking for Roy, too. He's usually out there. You are sounding good now that you have jumped into the air chair.
I'm going to try staying here for a while if possible.
All right. We will be here same bat time, same bat channel, but we do have you checked in. So you've made that part of it. First check-in of the new 8-week roster here, 16th of February. 44 is checked in. Let's head up to where it could be snowing. I don't know. SWL 45.
It's a noisy night. You're making it through this fine, Dennis. 45.
Okay. Got some radios talking back to you there. I do hear you loud and clear. Paul, no problem. Hope you and Kelly are staying warm up there and out of the weather. Got you checked in.
Thanks, Dennis.
SWL 46. SWL 47.
Oh, it certainly feels nice to say greetings from the Radio Lounge. I know I missed last week, but hello from the Radio Lounge, where it's, oh yeah, we can definitely hear the rain coming down. I'm glad I'm not outside tethered to the top of the air conditioning unit with a 108-inch whip and just a long cord and a table to sit out in that rain with. It's nice to be inside.
Tonight, anyway. But the alternate Radio Shack, I'm sure, will come into play at some point. So I forgot I had lowered my 2-meter antenna and it's horizontal. Like, why is everybody not sounding so good? And then somebody said, you're not sounding so good either. So now I know. Same situation, but likewise, I'm glad to be here in the 68? It's warmed up here in the Radio Shack with the lighting and the tubes. Speaking of warming up with the tubes, TB40 Ford over on the video side is saying he's doing the same thing. He's standing by with not 1, not 2, not 6, but 12 6 LQ6s glowing in the gray case. So what is that, 100 milliwatts in, and who knows how much ERP out of whatever antenna you have, but a good way to stay warm on a Saturday evening when you are checking into the old tube radio network. Also, Denny saying there's no signal in Ohio tonight. He's on the Regency. We were featuring the Regency on the main page a little bit earlier. We do have some Ohio stations that check in with us quite often. So maybe you'll get a relay through the Bob and Steve show. Directed net roll call, looking for SWL 48. SWL 49.
Breaker for a quickie.
And the break for a quickie, go ahead.
Yeah, Dennis, maybe I'm seeing things, or maybe something's happening on my end there, but your wattage is fluctuating.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is rain on the antenna. We're looking at the non-ergonomically arranged meters here. SWR is still reading good, and might be a bit of fluctuation when I talk, but hopefully not a whole bunch. You're sounding good, though.
Okay.
Directed net roll call. Didn't hear 49, who is in the very cold state of Wisconsin. So he may need more than 12 6 LQ6s to stay warm. SWL 50. And maybe we should all do it like Brian. If you don't have the multiple 6 LQ6s, 1 or 2 of the 3500 Z's, the ZGs, and the amplifier, and the Drake, or the TL922, or wherever you might have a Henry amp. We'll do it quite well tonight. Hello, Brian, checking in. Mighty KUH listening in, and everybody's got their own way of staying warm on a tube radio type of evening. Looking for SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Sounding good, sir. SWL 51, Dave, 305 out near Sangertown. We've got you checked in. SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
SWL 53. Thanks for the check-in tonight. You are sounding good. I get to turn the page.
Thank you.
Mr. Belair, let's give a live shout-out to Madera Town, SWL 54, Larry. I will get a proxy check-in for Larry. Might hear him tonight. I know he goes to bed early, so where are we at? 8:23 on the West Coast. Radio's coming up in about 15 minutes. SWL 55. Now, there's a station that certainly must have ice on the antenna up there at Shaver Lake. Let's go down a little bit closer to home here. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
And Phil probably doesn't have ice unless he has defrosted the refrigerator. Or should we say the ice box? Thanks for checking in, Phil. SWL 57. SWL 58.
SWL 58. Thanks for doing that, Dennis, from the frigid farmland of Biola.
Biola. I'll have to do the history of Biola. The town, the great town of Biola. Ditch banks, dust banks, and a couple of great AM voices beaconing into the old Tube Radio Network. Sounding good tonight, Jeremy. We've got you checked in. SWL 59. A station solid as a rock, SWL 60.
Thank you much there, Dennis. And before we get started here, proxy me and Jerry, doggone it, I guess, I don't know what number he is, but Jerry, I just know him by 151. We're going to say top of the evening to you and to the fellows out there for sure. And we are on Jake's base, the 2527 Galaxy. Giving the old boy some credit there.
Credit where credit is due. Jerry and the gang are being checked in, proxied in as we go along, so we'll get that. And indeed, on my list, I don't have the camera dialed up, but I would show it to you. It's got in the sidebar of SWL 60, 2901 DX 2527 radio. So we're checking them, everybody here.
Gotcha.
SWL 61.
51 checking in, Dennis.
All right, we can get close to Madera tonight anyway. Hello, Dean. You're sounding good here on the Old Tune Radio Network.
Thank you, sir.
You can also try for downtown Clovis, SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. This is 62 checking in for downtown Clovis with less than stellar conditions in my shack.
That can mean a lot of stuff, but you have, even with the less than stellar conditions, you have managed to be on time and even on frequency. So good job. Over.
Thanks, Dennis. Next week.
And he is right. Lucky Lindy is right. Next week, same time, same channel, the Old Tube Radio Network, 27085. If you're trying to tune us in from wherever you might be, maybe not some conditions at nighttime, but you can catch us at oldtuberadio.net on the audio stream, and the video stream is up showing the Orban loudness meter, at least at this point. Let's head over to SWL 63 Bubba and all the New York gang will get you checked in. Looking good on the video side and on the audio side as well. 63 is checked in. SWL 64.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. We're hoping to be able to say that as well to Nottingham Palace when hopefully before the end of the program here we get Big Ben checking in. And if you're listening to the stream at some point, Big Ben, we are waiting for you to get up nice and early and check us in like we're checking in Mr. One-Eye Jack. Thank you, sir. SWL 65.
65 checking in. Going to proxy in 55 also. He's probably out plowing right now.
Yeah, I figured he's getting hammered up there, so not just the light stuff. He's in for the long haul. So 65 is in. If I click the button, we'll also get M&M 55 as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And it is currently snowing, by the way.
Yeah, it is. If it's 40, a little over 40 degrees here at 300 feet, you know it's going to be on the nasty side, up the hill a ways. Thanks, sir. The Old Tube Radio Network directed net roll call. We are on page 3 for playing the home game. Where are we going next? Let's say hello to X4000. To see X4000 on the big board, so we'll wave a hand to Brentwood and all the items of interest out there. We'll see if SWL 67 is listening. SWL 68. Let me scour our digital listeners. 68 hails from Texas. Don't see him on tonight. SWL 69. And SWL 69. Hello, Ken. A little weaker than normal, but I do hear you, and we've got you checked in. Over. All right, thanks for listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. It could be snowing in this location, SWL 70.
No way. Maybe up the hill a little bit later on tonight, but we'll see. You know, I got you, 70 checking in. I got you a little lower than I usually copy it, Dennis.
Yeah, I've had reports that indeed, even though the match is showing okay, and if we were on 2 meters, you probably wouldn't hear me at all because I'd be in the wrong polarization. There may be some hanky-panky going on with the RF here tonight, so I'll keep an eye out for bad matches, bad odors, and things of that nature. Over.
Yeah, I was thinking hanky-panky too. All right, man. Thank you very much for doing the net. 70 out.
All right. Looking good all the way around. Typically, our weather conditions give us better conditions, but it's been brutal, sort of. So maybe that's the deal. Thanks, Mark, for checking in. SWL 71, Stan. And maybe take a moment here. I've got to find. I was trying the Echo Link, and I was going to do some tests. So what I've got, let me bring up the Stan, and I don't know, I can't find myself, as it were, or I could give you the node number. And I believe the audio is actually up, which may or may not be a good thing, but what I'll do, check the call. I'm looking again to see if I've shown up. I don't understand why I'm not showing up, so that tells me I may have an issue, even though I can do the link server node and some other items. But look for Kilowatt Bravo 6 Golf Foxtrot Delta on your station list and see what happens. Experimenting. I did it at the last moment, so of course when you do anything at the last moment it may not work, but that is the deal. You're checked in, looking good on the big board, and you just never know. Maybe that'd be the only way to talk to me tonight if the antenna's not working. Thanks, Stan, for checking in. Over to SWL 72. SWL 35. shoveling out of the snow. Hello, Mr. Bill. We're all thinking about you there. Trying to stay warm and hopefully not skidding around too much in the big, bright, spreading joy everywhere Red Monkey mobile radio device. Hope all is going well. Thanks for listening in tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. Real Radio is coming up shortly after the roll call. Don't go away. Looking for SWL 73. SWL 74. SWL 75. SWL 77.
Well, good evening, Dennis, and waving a hand to everybody out there. Listeners on the net and on their receivers. 77 on the Tower of Power out of the Tower District. Just enjoying a rainy evening.
If you like it brisk, tonight is the night wherever you may be here in Central California. Thanks, Dennis, for checking in. SWL 78. SWL 79. And bottom of page 3, SWL 80. All right, Stan sees me logged in. Maybe you can't see yourself. I used to be able to track that, so I may have something in my Echolink settings that's blocking that. I don't know. And Mr. Bill 35 says, all good, no snow, but I bet it's cold. So keep the mittens on. Get your good push-to-talk gloves that allowed you to key up the D104. Also getting good reports from Bob and Steve, Oxford and Westchester, where they installed the new Heil microphones in the green room for the Jingle Singers. You know, it's about time. I'm not sure what we're using in there. I think it was the tin cans, and they had to keep pulling that string tighter and tighter to get the right tone. So should be working much better on the Heil microphones and the chocolate chip cookies. I've got to make some more. I'm just about out. Everybody's wanting chocolate chip cookies these days. It's that hot coffee and hot chocolate that goes with us. And we will do that. Thanks, Steve, for the update. Page 4, we're looking for SWL 81. SWL 82.
82, checking in from the ditch banks of Iowa, where the water is flowing.
I'll bet it is. Going to be doing that for a while. And that ain't necessarily a bad thing. Sounding quite nice here in Midtown Fresno tonight. Thanks for checking in.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
And Stan, maybe when we start the tube radios, we'll do some testing. I think I'll be better able to do it with the devices I have here. See if we'll even take a check-in or a log-in and do the Echolink thing here in just a little bit. So good deal. At least we're halfway there, maybe. SWL 84. SWL 85. SWL 86, SWL 87, and SWL 88. I am going to proxy in the foursome there. 84 Cheerios Kid, 86 Mountain Meat, 87 Tandy Girl, and 88 Snowy Owl, since we've got our new 8-week roster in line, and I'm sure somewhere between the 4 stations there, I bet they're monitoring. Over to SWL 89. Shortwave listener 90 with a proxy check-in. Over to SWL 92. Beautiful Madera, SWL 92. I think my receive isn't as good tonight, so maybe I should have done a visual inspection on all antennas. Maybe the wind did bad things to the Starduster, and there's more dust than stars. I don't know. We'll see if we can make it through. Thanks, Chuck, for checking in. Over to SWL 93.
93 checking in.
You sound good, sir. I hope you're having a nice week. And sandbagging is your game.
Yes, sir. Sandbagging is my game, and I've had a nice day, and listening to the rain fall on my roof, and I'm clear.
Was it Glenn Yarborough? I don't say Cale Yarborough. He drives a car. Glenn Yarborough sang, when a lot of these radios we'll be checking in were brand new. Baby, the rain must fall. Over to SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
And sounding good doing it, sir. We've got Fresno Dave with an X on the square. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to shortwave listener 103, Jeff. Probably wise not to be out in the mobile. I think he has to check in from his mobile. So he may have decided there's better places to be than driving around tonight. But we will be listening. SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. The station with the big signal tonight, SWL 111.
Yes, sir, Dennis. Yeah, I'm crazy enough to be out in the mobile tonight, but it's good to hear everybody. Take care, buddy, and good luck with that Echolink. You know, it's just about like sending an email, but what the heck. Take care, 111, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just seeing if we could link up for some of our stations who are out of DX range. That might be a nifty way to do it, but I've got some peeking and tweaking to do it properly. Sounding good, and my apologies on the crossband. I've got antenna issues there, but you're sounding good in the AM mode. Over to SWL 113. Shortwave listener 114.
114, checking in.
114. Hello, Wayne. You are sounding good, and we've got you checked in. Over.
Thank you.
Also updating my big list to see who has checked in. And I see we have some... Oh, Stan, I missed that. Down the list. Passed the extra exam this week. I think there were some other people. I've got to talk to everybody for all the testing. Who passed tests this week to either enter the world of armature radio or upgrade like SWL 71, passing the extra? You know, Stan, I really debated when I went from advanced to extra, because they're not making the advanced anymore, but I did it anyway, so I don't have to worry about looking at the dial, at least for the band edges maybe, but to see if I'm transmitting in the proper spot. So good deal. Maybe you can get one of those. Do they still do that, the nifty extra calls? I think with the Vanity you can get just about anything you want, but they may save some of them for the extra stuff. Let's look at SWL 128. I was also seeing if John Lee had checked in on the page yet, and it looks like no-go at this moment for... Oh, there he is. Right on time. I see you. I see you there. Fairfax, Virginia, 128 is checked in. Thanks for listening. You just have to look. If you look, I can usually keep this boat floating here tonight for a couple of hours. Over to SWL 131. Let me try it again. I heard a station key up, SWL 131. Okay, usually John comes in better than that, so I won't put a check-in down there. Over to SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133. Boy, it's really coming down out this way. Over.
Yeah, I can't tell. I'm wearing the headphones here. If it gets real nasty in this Radio Shack here, if I take the noise gate off, we might hear it. I was driving around earlier, and there were just the storm cells coming through one after another. You could see the very dark clouds, and the sun would come out, and then would rain. The sun would come out. So that's February for you. Thank you, sir. You're sounding good. Dave checked in. We're going to check in SWL 135 Cliff. On the proxy side, or if anyone hears him on the FM, let me know, because I've got the antenna. Issue 137, AJ checked in via proxy. Can I hear Coarse Gold? SWL 145.
Yeah, hey, Dennis. 145, waving out very wet and cold. High five that way.
All right, it's all over the place. So if the Radio Shack isn't in a warm spot, thanks for braving the elements to get there, and we've got you checked in. Over.
Yeah, Tim Ford. Have yourself a super fine evening out there, everybody.
All right, Tony checking in, waving a hand. SWL 145. Not only here on Channel 11, but worldwide at oldtuberadio.net. And the guy, what is the movie? The guy that would be 00 yet again because he is. SWL 195.
195, checking in for Coarse Gold.
Sounding good from Coarse Gold, where it is cold and wet, perhaps at the moment, or soon to be. And again, I'm thinking it might be a lottery ticket time for you, Jim. Again, SWL 195 is in the 00 mode. Over.
Oh, 10-4. Yeah, I just got home about 20 minutes ago, so I kind of missed it.
All right, well, we've got you checked in at the very top of page 1 and almost, but not quite at the very bottom of page 4. Sounding good.
Thank you, Dennis. You guys stay warm down there.
Yeah, we're trying. I opened the window just a bit, about an inch, and the temperature went down 2 degrees in this room already, so that's how cold it is. Even the tubes can't handle it. Thanks for checking in, and over to SWL 226. Anybody would like to check in who I missed, or if I can get a relay if necessary? All right, without any further ado, I'm going to check a few cables and wires. We're going to switch over to the Tube Radio check-in situation, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes to get that going.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
650 wants waving a hand. He's having trouble picking you up, but he's waving a hand to you.
Okay, yeah, I've got some antenna issues tonight. It's obvious because I'm not hearing or transmitting as well, so we'll do a visual inspection when it's safe. So hopefully we can get through. 650, waving a hand, and well, everybody can hear me at oldtuberadio.net, but sometimes we need a little bit more than that. Thanks for the relay there, Jim, and we'll be back in a moment with the Tube Radios.
Thank you. All right, OTR, y'all take care. 111, everybody here for 180. Going home. See ya.
All right, no slippy, no slidey. We'll catch you on the base. Sounding good tonight. Get a decent picture up there.
For anybody's information, this is SWL number 40. Since that last cloudburst that we had over here in Chinatown, the last 15 minutes ago, we now have a small river running through my room. I just like to pass that on to anyone interested.
All right, I think I'm back. Video here. The video shouldn't have dropped. Audio should be back up on the secondary stream. Let me say hello to those over the video. Hello, John, Ohio. The mighty Juliet Whiskey waving a hand from the corn patch. Butterbean in as well. So we're looking good there. Back in the studio here, we will go to the tube radios. And Stan, I found how to find my call because I was looking in the wrong station designation. So give the connection a try into my station here, and we'll see if the audio is going to work. Just as a test. It will be our beta test tonight. We actually did this a few years ago with Radio Ham Guy, and it's on the archive somewhere, and talked on the repeater in Maryland, I think, or in where did we talk? But anyway, wherever he was, and that worked out pretty good. But I have not set up something the other way. So if you can get in, give it a try, and I think I've got the audio set. With that said, let's get down to business. What we're supposed to be doing here at the Old Tube Radio Network is checking in old tube radios, and I'm listening for radio number 1.
45.
And I think you've got it. Hello, Paul. SWL 45. That's Paul up in North Fork, higher elevation than we are here at this location. And at 8:50, I'll log in, and hopefully you can hear my pipsqueak signal tonight, and we'll have a go at it. What's on the radio desk tonight? Over.
Okay, this is my Browning Raven mobile radio.
Yes, Browning did make an early mobile radio. I think they made a later one, but this is the one that everyone would like to have, and many do not. Let me bring a picture of the Raven. I don't think this is from your collection. Not that it has to be, and I thought I had one. So I'll look again, but I will fire it up here for those taking a look at the video or on the main page. I'll talk a little bit about the Browning Raven. I don't suppose you've ever had that in the pickup truck or whatever your mobile might be. Over.
Did get all that, but that is like mine. It's not. I don't have that red mark across the middle there. I don't know what that's for. Whether mine should have it or not, I don't believe. No, I have two up here. My other one doesn't have it either, so that's something different. But it's really a classy mobile radio. I'll tell you about it. You probably got a lot to say about it, too. Back to you.
Okay, the Raven came out about the same time as the Eagle, the first Eagle, 23 S9 R27. The interesting thing I like about this radio is the huge S-meter, so you can certainly give the 9 pounds good modulation report as you're driving down Herndon Avenue. You may not know what channel you're on. Channel selector's a little low, and it's, like you said, it's got the nice, I'm going to assume that's an on-the-air light, nice red light on the side. These came out in 1965 is what I'm showing, with an original price of $269. Is that a 23-channel, both transmit and receive over?
Yeah, 23 channels. It has the 8 channels for the crystals, each one of them. They're not synthesized. There's single crystals, which is really neat. This thing's really, it's a classy. It's got a gigantic meter on the thing. The meter's about the same size as some of the bigger units, too. And it really lights up the thing. And then on the left of that, it's got on-the-air light, and it works also. It's really bright. Just a real classy radio. That's a big one for a car, but you know what? Some of the other ones they put in there, too, like the 123s and all that. And this guy's just a little bit littler than that. But all in all, this thing's got, continue with it, it's got a brushed surface on this, actually, this vinyl type. Black leather, grain vinyl all over the outside of the thing. It's got aluminum front on the thing. Shot polished aluminum front. And it's a real classy radio. Back to you, Dennis.
Back to me in the studio. It sounds nice. It has really clear audio. I popped the S-meter up so that if you're watching the archives, you can kind of give yourself a signal report. Full quiet, well, not full quieting, but way over my noise level enough to sound pretty darn good. And there is what appears to be nice modulation to move the carrier around. So all the way around, it has a good old tube radio flavor. We'll go back to you for another transmission, but I like the sound of that radio. It sounds like it's not, like it's just loafing along, like you don't have to sit there and shout into anything.
I'm glad it sounded good. This original mic on the thing, it's a Shure mic, and it's got the radio Browning mark on the front of the mic, so I know it's authentic mic, someone would say. And I guess it does sound, it looks good on the meter. Anyway, all in all, I say the Jason channel rejection 80 dB down. If you remember back in the years, that's what we went after, trying to get that Jason channel rejection. 80 dB is not too bad for a mobile fix. Anyway, thanks for checking it in.
The Browning without the ping. How do you do it? You put them both, the transmitter and receiver, in the same box. The Browning mobile transceiver, my guess is the transmitter is probably very similar to the 23S9 in the component parts. Not sure about the receiver, but it sure does sound nice. And there's what I'm assuming might be the original microphone that came with it that Paul says he's using. No amplification on the microphone whatsoever, but still very nice audio. We're logging it in as our first radio on the list tonight at 8:50, the Browning Raven from 1965, the mobile companion radio if you were going to buy your base and mobile setup for your Browning Eagle R27 S23. Sounding good. We haven't heard from the Jingle Singers, and they are reminding me they're getting close to the top of the hour, so let me look through the glass here. Plus, they want to try out those nice new Heil microphoniums. So I'm making sure I have the right connector or the right potentiometer up here, and we'll see what happens. This is your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR, and we hope it is. at the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for Radio 2. Real Radio is Glowing in the Dark, something we have been doing for over 30 years here on Saturday evenings, thanks to our tube radio operators and wave listeners. Stan, I see it keeps timing out. I must have something not set up correctly, so what I will do when I get a chance is maybe we'll go direct to you for a test in a little bit when I can find all the correct items of interest. But in the meantime, we will check in some radios, looking for Radio 2.
I would like to be radio number 2. This is 82.
Because when you are, what did they used to say? When you are number 2, you try harder. But the order on the list does not indicate any favorability of radios. It's just how they happen to check in. And whether you're 1 or 100, we are glad to have you aboard. From the ditch banks of Biola, where they are definitely running with a little bit of some type of liquid, hopefully water, we've got the different kind of browning, it sounds like. Over.
Yes, this will be the big old bass browning. The transmitter here is the S23 and the receiver is the R27. 23 channel with the bright on-the-air light.
Perfect timing for that radio, as we moments ago checked in what would be the mobile version of that radio, the Browning Raven. What I'm going to do, this may not show up too well, but I'm going to put up the advertisement and get it centered up here that shows the Browning Eagle. I thought I had another one that actually showed the Raven, but here's the original Eagle. R27, S23. Transmitter should be the smaller of the two units. Sounds pretty doggone good, and I believe you had to pay almost $100 more to get the base version in 1964, 65, or 66. And thanks to SWL 82, we are able to hear it yet again in 2019. Over.
All righty. Well, let's see. 1964, I'd been, I think, 2 years old. Anyway, it's a lot of money for them days. All righty. Well, 82, and I'll be checking out. And you guys have a fine evening. Let's hear some more glow-in-the-dark radios.
I agree with that. Before you go, there were, in their 2-year or so run, 2 different versions of them. They called a Series 1 and a Series 2. So Series 2 base station consisted of the R27 Series 2 and S23 Series 2 transmitters. Some of the differences from the Series 2 are larger meters, neon modulation indicator, and the lighted on-the-air. I think you said you had the on-the-air light. Is that correct?
Yes, the on-the-air light, and then I do have one light that flashes. It says audio, and it's a red one. And, you know, it kind of goes on and off with the modulation.
That's a good deal, because if it didn't go on and off, there might not be any modulation. And yours is superior and very nice, as we would expect from any of the Brownings. I agree, $350 back in 1965 would buy you, I don't know if it'd get you a color console television. It'd certainly get you a nice black and white set, and it might even, I'm sure it would even get you a used car. That the transmission would stay in for at least a week. Thanks for checking in.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
And you're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark. The Jingle Singers want to try those microphones again. I think, didn't we just do this? But it is the top of the hour, so here we go. OTR.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, you, wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we are looking for radio number 3.
45.
Hello, Paul. SWL 45 still beaconing in quite nicely into Midtown Fresno. Over.
Bear with me, Dennis. I'm having a terrible time. This radio does not have the rejection on it like the last one did. So anyway, here, checking in my Browning Drake.
It's time for the rare Brownings. I'll give you a little chatter here on my transmitter while I find the Browning Drake. I know we have a shot of that. It has its own, let me see. It has its own designation. Is there, if you can hear me, is there a model number with that, as in M or MS? Over.
The model number is M-523. And it says Browning Drake, manufactured 1963. Back to you.
Said the magic words. I was able to find not only the right picture, but what's telling us the radio setup from your collection. How nice. What an interesting looking set. The Browning Drake 523 with matching speaker and power supply. Not sure if you still have it in the 3-way configuration there, but it also sounds good. We'll do some evaluation. Give us another transmission.
That is the old setup on there. That's the power supply. I still have that. It operates. And you see it's quite an elaborate thing. I'll tell you, it's got all kinds of wires on it. Before Bill left at Red Monkey, Ian Harvey made a real beautiful power supply for this thing, and you see a picture of it. I don't have a picture of it on there. I'd like maybe have the name put on there. It's kind of neat, but it works well. It looks good, and that's not put it up. But I still got the speaker that came there with it, same one, adjustable. It's got a bass and squelch on it, and believe it or not, it works pretty good. With this noise tonight, though, it doesn't have the rejection as my other one did, but it's getting there. It's a lot smaller. It's down to you. Back to you.
Sounds good. The next go-around, I will also, like I did for the Browning Raven, pop up the S-meter, because I can't remember exactly where you were on the Raven. Audio is good. This may be just a little less in signal, but I'm hearing you 100%. No problem. And just a side note to Ray, SWL 44, I have indeed got one of the AM voices in Reedley John 85 is proxied in, so no problem there. So give me another transmission. Let me call up on the video screen, call up the S meter such that it is, and we'll give you a signal report, or give yourself a signal report on the playback. Over.
See what it sounds like. I listen to them every week, you know that. But now this not the radio the other one was, but you know, you can add to this thing, which is kind of neat. They had everything you could put in the back. You could put meters on it and everything, well, with wiring on the thing, so they had a good thing in mind. The radio sitting right next to the other one that I checked in, it's probably, about half the size if you bundle in the other radio. So you did a lot with the other radio, and it's actually far superior, but 2 years older too. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, Dennis.
Well, that is sure is a treat. We don't see or hear those often, and I rarely, on the Facebook pages that deal with CB radios, I rarely see that one mentioned or talked about, but it does exist, and we're hearing it live right now. Looking at the Browning Drake M523 from 1963. The MS-12, if you've got that version, that's got the 12-volt power supply. The MS-6, as we've discussed, and that was probably one of the last ones for 1963, a 6-volt power supply to run with your very old vehicle. And the AC-115 is the 115-volt AC power supply. It's 10 tubes. I'm just looking at the tube complement, everything from 12 AT7s, 6 BQ5s, and I see a V10, 5763. Lots of interesting stuff in that one. Still going strong. Oh, you know what? Are you still there on that radio, Paul? Over.
Come back on that.
Yeah, are you still listening in on the Browning Drake? Over.
Now it's being in and out. I don't know what's going on, Dennis. Try it one more time.
All right, I was going to give you a frequency check on the crystals in that thing, so you just need to take another transmission. Over.
But it's got, I've got my notes on the thing. Yeah. And tuber, and the crystals, of course, are well on the side of things tells everything about it, I think. But it's all crystal controlled, definitely.
And indeed it is. Crystals are sounding at 84.5 on the transmit frequency, so the crystals are hanging in there pretty well. I'm sure if it ever made a mobile radio transmission or not, but it sounds good on your base. Radio number 3 from Paul, listening to the very rare Browning Drake, and that's the model 523. Thanks for bringing it by, and the Old Tube Radio Network is listening.
Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
Station report.
The station report. Have you got the canoe ready yet?
The canoe is not ready. However, there were three tributaries running water running across my floor.
Now, you mentioned last week there was some minimal H2O, but it sounds as though it's a little bit more than that. Have you researched if there's some errant coax without a drift loop, or which would be fixable, obviously, but I'm thinking this may be a little more intense.
Yeah, it's basically coming in through the windowsill underneath the wood. Well, basically this windowsill was probably put in the mid-30s, and it is falling apart. And the reason why I didn't see it the last time was I have these mats I put down. They have padding underneath, and they look pretty cool. But the mats were hiding the river of water the last time. And then this time, wow, I took the mat up from a previous rain today, and then this last hailstorm that we just had was, the rain was just filling up and actually started to hail as well. So I was cleaning out hail and stuff off of my windowsill, and yeah, it's just coming right in over the under the sill and on top of the bricks.
When was the hailstorm?
It was about 15
KB6GFD.
minutes, about 20 minutes now.
Okay.
All right, well, good luck, and sometimes there's dry rot. Let me try something here, see if I am in contact with Stan, KN4MVZ from KB6GFD, over. All right. Well, there's John. Let's try it with John. I may not have my transmit function correct here. Yeah, let me try that. I'm thinking I may not have my transmit function correct. Hello, W0JWKB6GFD.
KB6GFD from W0JW. How you doing tonight, Dennis?
I am doing well. It's sort of like being a drummer now. I have to remember which radio needs to be on, which radio needs to be off, and we might do this. For those listening in at 27085, talking to one of our longtime digital listeners in a digital mode here on Echolink. So we'll try it again. It looks like you successfully were able to connect to this station here, I think. Anyway, over to you, John, KB6GFD.
Okay, Dennis, very good. I'm listening to the feed on YouTube, and there's some latency between the two. I'll shut YouTube off so that won't confuse me any. The first 3 times I think I tried, I got a connect fail, but this time it went right through. I don't know what you did to change or whatnot. What are you using? Are you using a smartphone or your computer or what?
There, I'm connected. I'm using the computer shared sound card that's also doing the streaming and also doing the audio radio. So I have to kind of be careful what I connect and when I disconnect. I may also have the file set up so that only one station can connect. And then when Stan was mentioning that he was having issues, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't connected to something like the test server and had forgotten to disconnect. So I'm putting your audio over, as you can hear, on 27085 in the stream as well. Tell everybody where you are at. We are running an Echolink just for a test here in between radio check-ins. A few of our digital listeners are radio active with the Echolink in a good way. Maybe in the future, when I get things set up for them to chime in with words of wisdom. Back to you as I disconnect.
Okay, Dennis, fine business. Yeah, my name's John, Juliet Oscar Hotel, November. I'm located in the state of Iowa, about 34 miles south of Des Moines, in a very small town, 250 people, 3 4-way stop signs. Very small town. We're getting snow right now. We've had probably, I'm looking out the window, I'm going to guess probably 5 inches of snow, and it's supposed to snow off and on throughout the evening. So better in Fresno than it is in Iowa tonight. So anyway, my original CB call is KJG 4755. There was a voluntary license that I got. It was right at the end of the mandated licensing for CB, and it was your option whether you got licensed or not. And I went ahead and did that, got the licensing, and my father's call sign was KLH 5604. And like I say on my QRZ page, he had Redicom tube type CBs, and I've acquired 3 of them, but I don't have any information on them as far as schematics or manuals or anything like that. I'm always looking for something for Redicom, so if anybody happens to run across anything, I'd appreciate that. So that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit for me. Back to you, Dennis. KB6GFD from W0JW.
Finding the Redicom CB, that'd be hard. I think that may be even more unobtainium than our Browning Raven and our Browning Drake 523 tonight. KB6GFD Fresno and the SWLs here on the Old Tube Radio Network. In Conversation Echolink, just trying it out tonight with one of our listeners, John, tonight. Thanks for testing this out. We'll see if we can do more, and when you disconnect, maybe Stan will be able to get in. We'll check in another radio. And John mentioned his old call. They were station calls, unlike on amateur radio where the call goes with the operator, and the call is your call. I believe with CB radio, was affixed to the station. So the radio, basically, when you licensed the station but not the operator, is the way I believe it worked. I will take it back to you for another transmission. Thanks again for letting us test this out. Your audio sounds great in the headphoniums. I'm going to later listen to the playback, but I think all the stations listening are getting some good sound. Whatever you're doing with your system there sounds really good through the Echolink. So thanks for the test. Back to you, John W0JW, and we hope to hear you through the airwaves as well if we ever get some conditions. KB6 GFD.
Okay, very fine, Dennis, very fine. Good to make a one-way contact with you. So anyway, I'll go ahead and log off, and maybe you can try the other station and hope you get it going. It might work out pretty good. So send to everybody, W0JW.
All right, nice. That's the Echolink version, and that is the chime that says I should be disconnected. But we will connect up to the Jingle Singers and listen for Radio 4 here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. The friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Looking for Radio 4.
37, 37, 37.
45.
And we got 37 and 45. Thanks, everybody, for being patient. Wanted to check out the link there, and it seemed to work quite well. SWL 37, hello, Chris. Step up into the air chair. You are Radio 4 at 9:19 Pacific Coast time. And Paul, you will be Radio 5 in just moments. It'll be interesting to see what you've got. But at the moment, let's head over to Chris, sometimes known, or I guess long ago, known as Go Boy, maybe still, if you would do the handle thing. We'll find out what radio you have. Over.
Well, I hope you guys in Iowa are still listening. This is a loud radio. This is my general radio telephone. Super MC11A 24-channel tuber that glows in the dark with the original handheld stock microphone. Over.
And you tell the truth. It is definitely a loud radio. You can see it's doing quite well in the Orban loudness meter. We'll bring up a picture of the general radio telephone Super MC11A. Maybe, just maybe their last FCC type accepted radio. So they wanted to go out with a bang, I think.
Oh, yeah, it definitely went out with a bang, all right. But you know, I look up there at the meters and it's swinging all the time. It just loves to swing.
Oh, I think it does. You know what? For some reason, I can't get the picture to come up, so I'll refresh the video. Oh, there it is. And now it should be swinging any better. Give us a transmission. We'll take a look at the radio as well. Over.
Okay. Swing meter. And it's a swing. And
it should be swinging any better. Doing a good job. You sound chipper tonight, so I'm assuming the knee and the associated other parts are doing well.
Well, they're doing well, but I did something earlier today, and of course I had to take pain pills. That's why I'm feeling so good right now. I tried to move a blanket that was stuck underneath me, and I pulled too hard, and of course, you know, those muscles right there in the center, they're not really attached like they used to be. And so I was using my left arm, and of course the left side was really hurting, and then right in the very center where it's cracked.
Okay, that's it's making me hurt just listening to that. So do whatever you need to do, or should I say don't do whatever you're not supposed to do, and keep it better, and keep out of the pain pills. Radio number 4, the General Radio Telephone Super, and I didn't write that in. I should write that in. MC11A, you're looking at it if you're at oldtuberadio.net. From, I believe, 1972 or thereabouts, 9 tubes with a couple of transistors thrown in to do some DC stuff, probably. Still commanding high prices. Right at the end of the last year, one sold on eBay for just under $300. We're glad we've got this one to check in most every week. It sounds great. Over to you, Chris, for transmission. We've got Paul standing by for Radio 5, but we always enjoy the General Radio Telephone over.
Okay. Well, I'll just say one thing. When I first got this radio, I checked it in. I guess it was like the second week or whatnot. Jerry out there in Madera, he offered to buy it for me. He said there's one that sold for like $325 on the internet that evening, and he said he'd be willing to give me $300 back then, but I told him no. I was hanging on to it, but I don't know if it was the booze talking. It's really him talking. But I kick out.
Well, we're glad that it's somehow in some collection close enough to check in and to be shared with our shortwave listeners at oldtuberadio.net across the universe. Thanks for bringing it by tonight, and hope you are feeling better.
I'm working at it. I guess I don't know if I'm going to check any more tonight, but I am going to be listening.
Indeed. All right. Paul, SWL45, go ahead and step up to the microphonium here at 923. And for the Echolink, let's see some questions here. Echolink, I am using Windows with, I believe it should be Chrome for that, although Chrome sometimes can get a little squirrely. That's why I had to stop using it for the video. And John Lee, it's an amateur radio program called Echolink, which runs through a computer. Think of Skype, but it's somehow connected to amateur radio, so you do need to be a licensed amateur to run it. Some people say that it's not quite amateur radio because you're using a lot of wires. You're using the internet, but it never quite goes over the air, even though it can if you're coming through a repeater into an Echolink link. And I've had it for quite some time, but I haven't used it very much lately, and I think that's why I'm having a few problems. Plus, maybe I don't have enough bandwidth. I think I should to be running the stream and the video stream and the Echolink. There could be some router or firewall problems, but John managed to break through, so I know we can make it work if we want to. But it's called Echolink for those who have amateur radio. We'd like to do it over the air, but sometimes we have to get a little bit of help. SWL45, Paul, if you are hearing my voice, we'd like to hear from your radio. Over.
Yeah, a little bit better on this radio I'm talking on right now. I'd like to check in my General Radio Telephone VS2.
I think everyone is on the same page tonight. Between the Brownings, checking in with the Brownings of the same era, and now the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A, which was the Master Control series that was more of a bass-oriented radio, and then what Paul is talking on, the General Radio Telephone, and he's on the VS2 vibration service, which was designated for their mobile, although you could run it bass like he's doing. Let me see if I can find, I think we actually have one from your collection. I'm not sure if it's the one on which you're talking, but we'll pull it up on the video here and back to you for a transmission over.
Yeah, I believe that is my radio right there. Yeah, they came out with a mobile radio, General Radio Telephone, about the same kind that Browning did. And these guys only have 7 tubes in it. Brownings were coming out, I think they were running 10 tubes for their radios. They had a little bit more power and everything go with it, but I don't think you can really tell it. These things are so tough, I mean, you could bounce them down the road and still work that way. That's not exaggerating either. They're tough. Anyways, fine crystal control, 12 volt or 115 volt PAC, and just a real clean little radio. This is what Jim used to check in all the time. Jim number 1. I used to love to listen to that radio here.
I remember it well. He would use the standard supplied microphonium, which, if I recall correctly, had the carbon filament of the carbon elements, and would occasionally, when the audio started getting weak, gently but correctly bang that microphone to loosen up the carbon granules, and the audio would definitely come up. 1962, 1963 for the model run of the Vibration, the VS2. 5, as Paul mentioned, 5 crystal-controlled channels, and it was set up for 12-volt DC and, of course, 115-volt AC as he's running it now. And we're looking at the serial C9909 with the 2 slides, which is on the face of the radio that are not hooked to anything. And like he said, we're not sure if that's a factory item or not. General Radio Telephone, I think, did a lot of prototyping in the kitchen table somewhere in Burbank. And we're glad to have what we have. On their next transmission, Paul, I'll pop up the S meter so that you can also give yourself a signal report on the playback. I would say this radio comes in number 3 on both loudness of audio, even though I like the quality, and signal as well, but still 100% comfortable. Back to you.
You go ahead and embarrass me now. Just running 2 KCs high. I need to dig out the crystals, put a new crystal in here with a better way to get closer.
All right, very good. Sounds like we're fading a little bit on signal and audio, so maybe we've given it just enough time to warm up and go away. Anyway, I think it might be done. Radio number 5, the General Radio Telephone VS2 from Paul, SWL 45, up in the foothills here north and east of Fresno. Originally could be heard new out of the box in 1962 and doing a good job in 2019. The original price at just under $140. And you are correct, Paul. I got you at 27.086 and a half. So a little bit high on frequency, but still working strongly. Thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Yeah, thanks for checking it in. I don't notice my meter dropping a whole lot. Seems like it's holding pretty good. I don't know what's going on. Who knows? Thanks again, Dennis.
Wow, and good loud transmission that time, and the signal was up as well. So go ahead and put it to bed just like that, because that last transmission was beautiful. Thanks for bringing it by. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. There was a breaking station before we go to the Jingle Singers, who are in the other studio. They are eating the chocolate chip cookies. They love the new microphone, and we'd like to hear from them. But first, the station standing by that wanted either a check-in or radio check. This is OTR listening. Go ahead.
Radio check OTR. Jason checking in on a telephone radio.
Okay, your telephone radio. You have dialed the right number. Over.
Jason from Fresno checking in on an old Messenger 132 telephone radio.
So that's one of the E.F. Johnson messengers, and if I've got it correctly, you're holding what looks like a telephone handset?
You are correct. I am checking in on a telephone handset.
The Messenger 132. I may have a picture of that, Jason, so don't go away here. Let me see what we've got under the E.F. Johnson mode. It sounds good. It's got a little bit of an AC hum to it, an AC note. That could be from the power supply. If it's running off a power supply, that could be some other things. And let me get the model number again. I want to say that I may have misspoke. It's a Johnson Messenger 123. Is that correct?
That would be a Johnson Messenger 132. It is a base station. I got it in a mobile running off an inverter.
Okay, and I think that's probably where we are hearing the AC hum from, is the power inverter. The radio's not quite happy, and it's not filtered just correctly, but it's making signal and doing quite well. Give me another transmission. I'll see if I can't bring up a picture of the 132 before we go over. Okay, I have, that's a pretty cool radio. Before you go, I want to make sure that people can see what you're running. I don't believe it's tubes, but we're talking vintage radios here, so no problem. There's the shot. Let me get rid of the Orban meter, and we'll kick over to the video. Here's what Jason in Fresno, appreciate you jumping. And as we said, you don't have to be someone who's checked in before at all or have an SWL number. Nice, a pretty cool radio. Seems like it would be at home on any CEO's desk. Appears like it might be 23 channels, and is that an S meter on the front? Over.
It is 23 channels, and it has an S meter on the front.
All right, the only suggestion I would have, everything is perfect. It probably would do a little bit better with a standard 20 amp power supply, or even a car battery. Sounds like the inverter's putting a little bit of AC hum into it. You might notice some hum on my signal coming in, but doing a good job. The EF, I'm going to put it on the list with a star, that maybe it doesn't quite glow in the dark, but it's certainly vintage enough to have a place on the old tube radio here tonight. Jason from Fresno, glad you stopped by and gave us another little look into history from E.F. Johnson, the Messenger 132. Back to you for a transmission.
Right, I'll try to check in on something new next week. As I'm digging through them and powering them up, I will check in on them.
All right, very good. Thanks for dialing up the Old Tube Radio Network, Radio 6, the E.F. Johnson Messenger 132. And the Old Tube Radio Network will be standing by for radio number 7.
Hey, Dennis, I wanted to get a yell in there for old, I guess you were saying the guy that you were talking to on the Echo Link was not Beloit, Wisconsin. They were in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, that was John, who often can be seen either logging in at oldtuberadio.net or on the video side. I'm having some issues with my Echo Link. I haven't brought it up in so long, and he just managed to get through. Also, Stan SWL71 is trying to connect. I was going to try and get through to his, and I'm having some problem that way. I may try that a little bit later before I sign off, but give me something to do during the week and see if I can configure this thing to do Echo Link, but that might be another way similar to the crossband, especially if some of our stations have comments that we can actually get them on the air. Should be pretty cool. So congratulations to John for at least breaking into my system.
Well, that's cool. That's nice to hear and see Beloit, Wisconsin out there from the state and town I was born in, and from a town and state that I used to live in. So W0JW, it was definitely a pleasure to hear you out there from K6KRZ here in Fresno. I'll let you back at it, Dennis.
All right, good deal. Well, John had great audio, so obviously I'll be working on. I think there's probably a better way to do the Echo Link. I could set up some other exterior radios where they would be more like the crossband, and then pick and choose my audio so people could actually, set up a node or something here so people could chat to the Echolink stations off the air here, but put them in that way. So that might be something to work on here coming up. And like you said, it'd be pretty cool and give us another way to communicate until we get some good conditions. So thanks for that. Let me, if I haven't already, before I lose my voice, go to the Jingle Singers one more time. Somewhere they're on one of these buttons here, and we will be back looking for Radio 7 on the old Tube Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style. That's
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
in wonderful
Fresno, California.
Listening for Radio 7. And a question, Stan, if you're listening, does your local repeater, does it show up with the node on Echolink? Yeah, I tried you direct, and it says there is no route available, which is interesting. I thought there was always a route if you're listed. That doesn't make any sense. Seems like there should always be a route if you're listed on the station list. And also, hello to Tim. Tim Tron up there in the Pacific Northwest. We're also fooling around a little bit with Echolink tonight. Some of our stations that are radio operators, obviously, and that listen in and get on the air. We've had one connection tonight, so we're seeing if we might use that as an option. Tim is also an amateur radio operator as well. Looking for Radio 7 here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
I wish I had more tube radios to check in.
Yeah, considering this is the Old Tube Radio Network, well, we just checked in the telephone radio. It was old enough. Maybe you've got one of those vintage transistorized radios. We're looking for 7. I know we'll get some more here. I think Harvey is going to venture out into the cold Radio Shack here before we sign out tonight.
Okay, yeah, we can always count on Harvey. Harvey, don't let us down. Yeah, my radio's transistor, but there's other things glowing around it, but I guess that don't count. All right, come on, you old tube radios, get out there.
What if my tubes are wet?
Yeah, that actually is a problem. I'm assuming you have taken any extension cords or things that might not play well in the H2O and done something.
No.
Well, at least get the AC extension cords, if any.
In fact, the cords running the equipment here are still slightly wet.
I suppose unless you have frayed cords, the cords could be wet, but you certainly don't want the ends in the water.
I had to do a lot of mopping up here.
I'm thinking if that windowsill is compromised, putting some type of sealer, especially if it's got dry rot, is only going to be a very temporary fix.
You could see the crack along the windowsill. It's quite clear.
Well, for a temporary, silicone or stuffing something in there might help out for the river of badness.
If I were to set my old tube radio on the floor and just let up the floor in different places, I should be dry out, completely dry in a few hours.
Or maybe even a few seconds if you do it a certain way. Looking for Radio 7, the Jingle Singers telling us the magic on a Saturday night, the Old Tube Radio Network.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
Wake up.
Well, I didn't have the Vox on, so hopefully I'm not snoring. And what was that, Larry? Over?
I said I've noticed a bit of a quirkiness on the stream there, like little jumps here and there.
Well, there are two quirky items. Well, there's one quirky item. When I switch any of the camera videos, it does weird things to the audio, and that's because I'm using IE, because Chrome, which doesn't make any sense because YouTube is Chrome, doesn't function correctly anymore. But IE does for the most part, at least for getting the cameras to be HD quality. The Chrome no longer will accept it. It takes all the cameras and puts it to low definition automatically. Go figure. And then, of course, I've got the Echo Link up, but I'm thinking that's using very little bandwidth, especially when it's not in use.
Oh boy, yeah. You're a slave to Google.
No, I'm bypassing them for what I'm doing now, and it actually works.
No, they're still in control.
Yeah, you bet. Looking for radio number 7, the Old Tube Radio Network. and you know something is going on when it's even too cold to be in the radio room on a Saturday evening, looking for Radio 7 here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Break OTR.
Well, that was a definitive key up. Hello to the break OTR.
Number 20 here, and let's see, what is this thing? Receiver is an R2700A, and the transmitter is a Golden Eagle, R68. No, T68, excuse me. And it's the T68 model with the spotlight on the front, not the more common on-air.
Well, T68. Let me see if I have just... It says no image available. Well, I know I've got the 2700A, so maybe we'll try that. It's got nice audio, of course, because we're listening. That's what we're listening to here, at least those of us at oldtuberadio.net listening to your transmitter. And you're listening to us in the 2700A. That brings me to a good question, Harvey, as your Radio 7 at 9:49, as my pen runs out of ink. I think it just dried up from lack of use. Is it difficult to mix and match on the Brownings? Is there a limit to, anything before the 2700s, or do they all match? Can you match them all together with the same cable? That's something I've always wondered, and you may or may not know. Over.
As far as I can tell, the Browning Compact gets its power from the R2700A or the R2700 receiver. Okay, so you can do that. Then the S9 and the 23S9, you can put one of those two receivers, and you're okay. I have to check the R27. Excuse me. I think you can do that with it, because the on-air light or spotlight is in the transmitter in all those transmitters, okay, all the way up through the Golden Eagle, including the S23. However, when you go to the Mark II and Mark III and Mark IV, you have the on-the-air light in the receiver requiring wiring to the accessory socket of the light bulb. And the light bulb in the Mark III is totally separate circuit, not using a ground. So you got to be really careful. So you kind of have like two wires. So anyway, no, I would not put any one of these transmitters with like a Mark III receiver without really, or Mark II receiver, Mark III, Mark IV, without really checking. the transmitters have the extra wiring for the relay set up for the light bulb in those receivers that have the on-the-air light in the receiver. Therefore, you got to be really careful.
Some good conversation. All right, man. We'll be good. And Sam.
All right. Good explanation. And good advice. Obviously, you know if they're the mated pair that they will work, but you can mix and match up to a certain point. Well, let's talk about what you're mixing and matching. What's the new part? I believe you were checking in with the R2700A last week, or at least using it as the receiver. So is this the same setup as last week? It sounds very good. It's very nice.
Roger. Did somebody key up before me?
No, depending on what you were listening to, I checked a repeater link and connected. It was in use, so we were not. It was not anybody local, but it looks like Stan. I'll be able to get into at least listen into the repeater link here if we have a little time at the end, which we might. So, Harvey, go ahead. You have the floor, as the radio floor, as we say.
Okay. Which repeater are you going into?
We've been experimenting with Echolink tonight. Talked to W0JW, who logged into my station, and we've been trying to see if we can get a hold of SWL71 Stan. And I think what we'll try to do at the end here, if it's not busy, maybe just do a quick jump into the repeater that's in his area, out of state, in Foreland, over.
Okay, so you're not going to a local node then, right?
That is correct.
Okay, because I can't get my Echolink to pop up, so I have to check, see what it is. Anyway, yes, I had this Golden Eagle last week, but the relay is really bad. In fact, I have to kind of play with it a little bit to get it to key up. I'm going to replace it in the next two. It's one of those where the screw on the bottom of the little screw on the bottom of the relay does go through the chassis, and you bolt it down, and the contacts go through a little rectangle cut into the chassis. It's one of those. It's not a plug-and-play relay. So I'm going to find a relay that I can use. The main problem will be the voltage to key it up. Contact-wise, it shouldn't be a problem. I've got enough relays that will have the contacts. It's just the key up voltage I haven't bothered to check yet. I think it's probably the 90 volts that I'm used to feeling on the other Brownings.
So I'm not the only one. The 90 volts, yeah, 85 or 90, and it does. Let me jump to the control. Uh-oh. I may have just things up. We may have just lost the stream. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, we're still on the air here. And yeah, when I run the Browning with the J38 key for push to talk, it exposes both sides of the, B plus there. And if you lay your hand wrong position, bad things can happen. My apologies on the video side. I hope it's still working. I see that we have some issues going on there, so strange things going on. So be careful out there, Harvey, over.
I have to kind of start the relay, give it a little push. Excuse me. Let's see what time it is. Oh, it's about that time. Okay, proxy me in for next week. I will be working. Okay, but I'll try and get this thing figured out and have it operating on its own without a little push. Alrighty, R2700A and the Golden Eagle model 1 or something, or version 1, all with the spot. I don't know if it's version 1 or 2, but I'm going to place a call to somebody that should know which transmitter was originally basically sold with which receiver, and I'm going to put them together that way. So I'll have, two stations, but kind of mated the way they should be. And I kind of think it's going to be the spot transmitter with the RF gain control versus the on-air with the 3-position RF gain switch, which is what most people seem to have. Okay, I'll turn it back to you. I'm going to go get warm.
All right, I'm going to try not to blow it up here. We're at 10 o'clock. I cannot stay in late tonight, so I appreciate your check-in on the R2700A, the T68 transmitter. You can check the archives. You'll be really pleased with how everything sounds, I'm sure. Are there any other two radio stations that would like to check in at this time? Over. And I would like to do, since we've been spending a little bit of time with it tonight, I know Stan is staying up late, I'm going to go back over to the Echolink, so I'll keep the transmitter keyed up here and see if I can get a connection into the repeater, which he said, and it looks like we're there, and I see that Stan is actually online. So I'm going to give a call and see if we can't get Stan in here for one go-around on Echolink. We'll give it a try. KN4MVZ. I wonder if you're copying, Stan, from Kilowatt Bravo 6, Germany, France, Denmark. Over.
Hello, Dennis. This is Kilo November 4, Mike Victor Zulu. Got you just fine up here in Dallas. Over.
All right, good stuff. It's been a long time coming, and thanks for staying up late tonight for me to get this all figured out, and I appreciate your guidance on the comments that figured it out. Sounding good. You may be able to hear your audio on the turnaround, but I would like to probably in future episodes maybe sometime this year, that'll be a project, put up a note or a link here so a lot of the stations that are able to get up an Echolink could maybe be on a side conversation, if you will, and we'd be able to pop in and pop out of it. That would be pretty cool. But we here at the Old Tube Radio Network always appreciate your great knowledge on the older tube radios, and indeed, that's a good thing. Over.
Roger, Dennis, and I want to thank you. You gave me the incentive to get my amateur radio license back in the spring. You had a night, not many people were checking in, and told us all that we ought to think about that, and I got to thinking, I don't have anything else to do. Why haven't I done that? So I've come a long way. I got my extra this week, so got my rig. I've really had a great time. If you want to right now, I can come back in on RF so people can hear the difference. I think Echolink probably sounds better. I can do that if you want to try it. Over.
Yeah, let's try. We're right at the end of the net here. I've got to do some counting and amounting. I have to remember I have 2 radios that need to be keyed up and 2 radios that need to be unkeyed. Audio sounds good. It might be a little hot on my end, but that's for my controls to work. So hopefully those listening on the transmitter on the transmit side isn't too distorted or anything. But you sound good. So yeah, let's give that a try before we sign out, and then like I said, we'll be working on maybe getting a note or something for the Echolink stuff. But thanks again for hanging in there, and congrats on the radio license and the upgrade. Many of our stations here are amateur radio operators as well, and I think when we started back in 1985 or 86, there might have been one. There might have been just one, but we have a lot of fun. Radio is a lot of fun. This is Dennis in Fresno for those that may be listening on the repeater, and my call is KB6GFD. Back to you.
All right, Roger, Dennis. I'm on RF now, and not on Echolink, going straight into our repeater. And you probably hear a little bit of difference, but I'm sure it works okay. Well, thanks, Dennis. I'll go ahead and get on off. I know you want to close the net out, so appreciate it. And I'm glad I got to actually speak to you. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and clear off. KB6GFD, KN4, MVZ, clear, over.
Perfect. Thanks, Stan. You might maybe fire up a celebratory of 45 in the jukebox tonight for making the intercontinental contact over the radio and everywhere else. And there's the FM radio on the side with one of our listeners also saying hooray, hurrah. Good night to the SWLs, whether you're listening on the WB4QOJ repeater or here in Fresno, California on the Old Tube Radio Network. 73, Stan, thanks. And we'll go back to signing off on the other portion. Good night, everybody. 73 from KB6GFD, Fresno.
Thanks a bunch, Dennis.
All right, give me a moment. We'll get the count and amount going on here, and then we'll sign off. And like I said, I have to scatter out of here tonight because I've got some other things going on very early in the morning. So we'll be right back.
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
Yeah, even the jingle singers were falling asleep. Last call for any check-ins. And at 10:07 on the West Coast, it's a cliched term, but we'll tie the ribbons on it. Our new 8-week roster. Those of you playing the home game probably have already affixed SWL 195 up there in Course Gold as our 00 for the next 8 weeks. We had 9 check-ins on page 1, 13 on page 2, 14 on page 3, and 19 on page 4. We just got better as we went along tonight for a total of 55. 7 radios on this kind of cold week all the way around. And a cold night here in the Central California. Most heard radio manufacturer. And I'm not sure if the Browning Drake qualifies as a Browning or not, but definitely the Brownings with 3 and 4 if you consider the Browning Drake. Mr. Charlie Alpha Tango is jumped in the radio room and was letting me know that something is up. Maybe with the food dish. Maybe it's just too cold. I don't know. Started off with the Browning Raven. Paul giving us some very classic and rare radios tonight. And we appreciate it. They all sounded good. I'll let you know that we do archive the audio, keep the video up for a while over there at YouTube, but you can go to oldtuberadio.net, go to the archive section, look for the date, and whether it's SWL or radio check-in, click on that, wait for all the stuff to load, and you can give yourself a radio check. All of those, every net that we have done streamed is up there. Radio number 2 was Ron out there in the ditch banks of Biola with his Browning Eagle R27 S23, also sounding good. Radio 3 tonight, Paul on the Browning Drake 523. Everything sounding very nice tonight. Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. That might have been our oldest radio, or our newest radio, I guess, of the evening. Still pretty old, from 1972. Radio number 5, Paul on the General Radio Telephone VS2 from 1962. Thanks, Jason, for popping in, and we always enjoy classic radios, and the E.F. Johnson Messenger 132 was certainly one of those. Maybe not glowing in the dark, but copied by, who else did that? Radio Shack did that as well. They made the telephone looking, but I'm sure E.F. Johnson probably did it first, and it was working quite well. Just work on a little bit better filtered power supply, and doing a good job for Radio 6. And then Harvey on the combination of the R2700A Browning with the Golden Eagle T68 receiver, also sounding as well. Guest appearances tonight by John out of Idaho on the Echo Link, and then, as you heard right at the end, Stan, who actually is the one who suggested, why don't you try more of that? We had a couple years ago talked to Larry, Radio Ham Guy, in the same situation, and then tonight Stan giving us a demonstration through the repeater from radio. So you can use the radio repeater, Echo Link, into my system, but if I had another radio set up, which I might do, we might be able to do it that way. So you can use, it's not all computers, you can use radios to get in and out. And then Stan, of course, directly into the Echolink system. So that was good. It sounded great. I'm going to go back and listen to the replay on that. So it was good to do that. 73, everybody, the Old Tube Radio Network. Be safe out there when you're driving around when it's wet. I was really pleased. I was out on the freeway, the crazy 41 freeway this afternoon when it was raining, and everybody was behaving. No one was way over the speed limit. Everybody was following at safe distances. And I had to look. I had to pinch myself. And am I still in Fresno? So it was a good deal. Good night, everybody. Thanks to Frodex at searchlawrence.com for keeping the Nixie tubes running. And we will, assuming that there's still power and all that good stuff around here next week, we will try it again with the Old Tube Radio Network. Catch you next time.
Good night.
Once again, Dennis, thanks.
Hey, Dennis.
This is the basic Dennis.
Yeah, the Echolink that I was using isn't listed anymore, and I guess nobody told me. Anyway, it used to go through the N6 VRC repeater system around here. I noticed yours on the list. So what would it be going through?
The way it works, you will see probably a little face or a head next to my listing, meaning it's directly into my system. My system is basically my computer. So yeah, you can go computer to computer, and that's what I believe when John and I were talking how we were doing it. At the end, I had logged in from my system here, which is not a radio, but it's the Echolink program on the computer, into a repeater, and I don't have the location, but it was, W4 land, and those people anywhere in that general listening area were hearing me over the air on the repeater, or if they were logged into the Echolink system that the repeater had, were hearing me that way. And when Stan first came on, he was using his computer Echolink Direct, and then it was a great test, and there it is. I'm still logged in. There's the ID. I'm still listening to the repeater. He went to his radio in his shack and went from his radio into the repeater, which I was logged into. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but if you see Me Direct, you are logging into Me Direct and basically not using a radio. If we were to go, like you wanted to do, log into the N6 VRC, and I would do the same thing, let's see, you would talk, we would be linked via Echolink, but you could use your two-way radio, talk through the repeater, and then also get into my Echolink if I was logged in. That's the way we did it with John. I'm sorry, that's a very poor explanation, but there are many ways in which to do this, and my hopes in the future is maybe I could get a special node or link up just for OTR so that people that wanted to do it that way could, and we'd have a side conversation or channel, if you will, for the stations that are out of the RF range, and I would have the ability to bring the audio in at any time if someone had a comment or a question. Back to you.
Now, that was a good explanation. I understood. Okay, I just sent a message to someone about why I can't get in and wondered, I'll get a reply soon, and then we'll figure out what I can do and if it's actually still hooked up. Because when I'm in I could use it on my phone to get into the local repeater system here and talk to people, but I haven't used it in maybe a year and a half, I think. So when you mentioned Echolink, I went to it just to see, and it won't work. And I see why now. Okay, I'll let you go. Take care. We'll be out.
All right, good deal. We'll work on something here because I think it could be. We have a lot of people who listen that we can't really talk with, and they are very knowledgeable, like yourself, in the radio mode of operations. It'd be pretty cool to get more information distributed about the radios and things of that nature. All right, everybody, good night. I must get out of here. I have an early call, and we had fun tonight, as we always do, checking in radios and talking about stuff. And congratulations to those who did the upgrade thing with the amateur radio ticket. And I will get out of here. I'm losing my voice, too. Good night, everybody. Catch you later on the video side as I find the right mouse to say stop broadcast. Good night.